So going forward, I'm gonna actually try my best to upload one replay per week, and I'm actually gonna just talk over the video because I kind of already started making the guide videos anyway, and yeah, I figured that I could get more info out by actually narrating the games. So for this game, we start out here. Both players betrayed the tank bands, and my opponent opens up with first pick Elwyn. So once I see this Elwyn, I know he's committed to a trade game. So right off the bat, I know I want to pick Wet Ham, so I get rid of Lewin, and we are playing a trade game, so I get rid of his Wet Ham because I don't want Despair ruining shit up, because I don't really want to pick healers. So I respond with my Wet Ham. He responds by banning SP Elwyn and Lucretia, which is fair. Both are quite annoying to trade. And he goes Alastria for Gemini Bridge map. So after this, I ban his Teleport and his Lucretia, which is pretty standard. And I pick up Pepsi for my own to enable my Meteor units at the back. And it's a pretty good Janitor now anyway. So bans out Helena for the threat range and Himiko because it's very annoying for a single target to kill properly. You need to spend 2 hits on it. And he goes for SP Altamura. So Altamura's buff with Alastria on this map can be pretty scary, but as long as I make sure that the Alastria only gets a maximum of 1 kill, it should be fine. And I'm more kind of worried about the Altamura deciding to go for a semi-tank build with Iron Fist. Here I take T-Jess to secure a teleport and a possible magic DPS, while banning out Ares, which is long range, and Cherry, which is difficult to kill, especially with Glory buff. So with the remaining picks here, I guess my opponent is starting to run out of good picks. He copies my ban and he goes for Imelda to enable one of his DPSs. I ban out the remaining 2 DPS. That is not real because Real's mobility is kind of fucked on this map anyway, and in general, it's only 4 movement. And I pick up Sigma because Sigma is kind of a counter to SP Altamura. You just bring Cyborg and you will kill most Altamura builds as long as they don't get damage reduction from somewhere. And I lose my Egg again and Werner here, and he picks Real because 2 supports is bad, and especially Akaya into Wet Ham is quite unplayable unless you play Goddess tier. And both my last picks are pretty shit too, so I just take the Kyra for damage. And first we take a look at the skills. Everything's pretty standard. One thing to note is this thing is Divine Boots, so it's paired with Stinger. And this Elwyn isn't SSM, it's not fixed immune. Altamura brought Vampire Bats and a standard DPS set. Imelda is just Imelda, probably Scepter. Real has a 2 range attack and a passive that lets him heal. But as you can see, Real's mobility is really bad, so I don't think he should be played in this kind of team. Even with the talent, he only gets +1 mobility, so it's like 4 mobility. It's pretty bad. And for my side, I have Wet Ham with the diving build. It's just to dive and get 1 kill with Air Slash. Kyra, I just bring Faith and Gospel to try to get 1 kill and just die. Sigma, I bring 2 attacks with Ranger's Heart since my opponent has no tanks. Or well, I'm kind of gambling that the Altamura has no tanks anyway. And my Sigma is supposed to kill the Altamura. T-Jess is her normal strengthened build. Pepsi, normal with Shadow Stealth, because my opponent is almost completely single target, so it's pretty convenient. So our opponent opens up with a whip on Alastria. So one thing to note that is this gives Alastria fixed immunity, so when my wet ham dives in, Ragnarok doesn't actually proc. So at this point, I was committed on like diving my wet ham in, so there were 3 possible targets that I can reach, and I don't really want to go for the Imelda. And I clicked on the Elwyn and I saw 890 defense, and I wasn't sure if it's a kill because I've never tested it before, and this is Gargoyles, not Werewolf, because of the... I wanted to bring a flyer because of the map. So I went in, and I was planning to go for the Illustrial. But this happens, so this kind of caught me off guard, like I didn't know the matchup worked like that, especially for the fixed immune. So if we go back a little bit and we look at the animation, Ragnarok doesn't go off. And Gargoyles is kind of known to have shitty range animation. As you can see, the Gargoyles, like, they don't actually hit. They die before they reach Illustrial. So all the damage done here is actually just from Wet Ham's air slash. And after that, I feed my Wet Ham for free, and this game is already looking kind of rough. Because there's still an Elwyn on the map. There's still an Illustra that can run everywhere. He can get pretty much any kill it wants. And then there's still Eltamola behind. So 4v5 right out of the gate. But I was thinking that it's still possible to win depending on how my opponent plays, so I played on. Opponent buffs with Eltamola, and I'm just setting up now at this point. Put my 3C on Eltamola. To me, this was kind of odd, like his decision to kill the sword. Because leaving the sword there actually helps to ruin my turn order. Because I can't choose to kill it, it's just stuck there. And I forever have a 5th unit that I need to end turn on. Also, at this point with a unit up, right, you should actually just start taking trades. Because if you trade for one for one, you will eventually win. So, Illustra here should try for a kill on either my Kyra or Pepsi. Even though Kyra's kind of disabled once the sword dies. But I think you just want to trade 1 for 1 DPS, because you kill 1 with Illustra, then you try to kill 2 with Elwyn, and the game's just kind of set from there. So this sword kill is kind of weird because it's pretty low value and you have to burn your roundabout for it. So at this point my Kyra's crippled, so I kind of just leave her in front, but in hindsight I should actually not put it in Elwyn's range, because I want to make sure if Elwyn comes in, I want to try my best to limit Elwyn to only 1 kill. So if I do this, what my opponent could do is he'll just go here, he'll just kill the Kyra. My TJS can only take 1 life. Okay, not this turn, he'll move the rail first, but after this, he'll kill the Kyra. My TJS will take 1 life. And then next turn he will kill any 1 more unit, probably the Pepsi. And I'll only have 2 units left, so even though by that time I will be able to kill the Elwyn, I still need to settle all these other units, and I probably just lose on the spot. But okay, here we just buff with Pepsi. And he doesn't go for a kill. Maybe in his mind he was thinking that he wants to get this Pepsi kill, and as a result that I just surround him, so he can't really go for it. So he just moves his useless units first, and at this point I move my Kyra down, because what I want to do is I want to free up my TJS to move. So by blocking here, his Elwyn can't actually reach my Pepsi if I move my TJS. So he continues pushing forward, and at this point I was just thinking like, you know what, I'm just gonna take 1 life off this Elwyn. So at this point, this Elwyn is basically only gonna get 1 kill now. Even if he goes behind me, I'm just gonna kill it back. And yeah, I've kind of accomplished my goal of Elwyn only getting 1 kill, because I got 1 of his lives first. He tries to run, and I push forward my Pepsi, get the passive up. And here, I actually get the kill on this Altamola on the terrain. So normally I will be very confident with Sigma killing Altamola, even on terrain, because I've played this matchup before. But I actually had a damage up, and I feel like it might have mattered because I recently changed my Sigma to Breeze from Meteor, and because I actually didn't crit on this hit. Crystal Stinger has really bad damage if you don't crit, so it's a little bit risky, I guess, but I had a damage up, so it worked out fine. Now his Illustra comes in, and it actually 1-for-1s my Sigma. So my 4th pick Sigma actually ended up getting 2 kills, and they're both pretty valuable kills. So if we look back, because Sigma got that kill on Altamola, from Pepsi's buff he actually gained a counter attack damage increase by 25% buff, which is, so that's why even though Cyborgs don't counter, his hero counter alone is enough to kill Illustra's entire unit. So after those trades, now we're suddenly in a position where it's a 3 versus 3, and one of his units is real. As you can see, it's kind of sad. It's 4 mobility. And his Elwyn has already lost a life, so it's only getting 1 kill max no matter what happens. So here I actually had a bunch of plays I could make. I could actually teleport my Epsilon all the way forward, maximum of 7 blocks, which will be until here. But with a threat range of 8, the Elwyn can actually run all the way into this corner, and I wouldn't be able to chase it. And I would have to kind of settle for an Imelda kill outside of Real's range. But at that time I was thinking I don't really need to rush. I just wait for one more turn. Even if he comes in, I trade for it. Real is not in range. Imelda's not in range. So if he doesn't do anything, next turn I will have the egg again up, so I can teleport and get 1 kill with Tensei immediately. So I just run back. Strengthen. His Imelda's not 10 so there's nothing much he can do. So at this point, his Elwyn actually just came directly into Pepsi's range. I can just 3 range, take him off. So I do that. I keep my Pepsi's exclusive shield, so there's no risk of free strike just directly killing me. And here I kind of forgot that Real has a 2 range attack, and I just lose my TJs. But at this point, I was thinking that my Kyra could just hit it twice, but it actually just dies in 1 hit, even though I only have Miracle. Actually, it's not Miracle. It's a Alpha. It's a damage increase buff, but once he loses Real, this game is over.